Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for joining today and our program, which we're very fortunate to have Aziz Isa Elkun, who's going to be talking about the genocide of the Uyghur Muslims in East Turkistan. But before we start our talk, we'd like to start the program with a recitation of Quran. So let's start with that.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحاقة ما الحاقة وما أدراك ما الحاقة كذبت ثمود وعاد بالقارعة فأما ثمود فأهلكوا بالطاغية وأما عاد فأهلكوا بريح صرصر عاتية سخرها عليهم 7 ليال و8 أيام حسوما فترى القوم فيها صرعى كأنهم أعجاز نخل خاوية فهل ترى لهم من باقية وجاء فرعون ومن قبله والمؤتفكات بالخاطئة فعصوا رسول ربهم فأخذهم أخذة رابية إنا لما طغى الماء حملناكم في الجارية لنجعلها لكم تذكرة وتعيها أذن واعية فإذا نفخ في الصور نفخة واحدة وحملت الأرض والجبال فدكتا دكة واحدة فيومئذ وقعت الواقعة وانشقت السماء فهي يومئذ واهية والملك على أرجائها ويحمل عرش ربك فوقهم يومئذ 8 يومئذ تعرضون لا تخفى منكم خافية فأما من أوتي كتابه بيمينه فيقول هاؤم اقرءوا كتابيه إني ظننت أني ملاق حسابيه فهو في عيشة راضية في جنة عالية قطوفها دانية كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما أسلفتم في الأيام الخالية وأما من أوتي كتابه بشماله فيقول يا ليتني لم أوت كتابيه ولم أدر ما حسابيه يا ليتها كانت القاضية ما أغنى عني ماليه هلك عني سلطانيه خذوه فغلوه ثم الجحيم صلوه ثم في سلسلة ذرعها 70 ذراعا فاسلكوه إنه كان لا يؤمن بالله العظيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فليس له اليوم هاهنا حميم ولا طعام إلا من غسلين لا يأكله إلا الخاطئون فلا أقسم بما تبصرون وما لا تبصرون إنه لقول رسول كريم وما هو بقول شاعر قليلا ما تؤمنون ولا بقول كاهن قليلا ما تذكرون تنزيل من رب العالمين ولو تقول علينا بعض الأقاويل لأخذنا منه باليمين ثم لقطعنا منه الوتين فما منكم من أحد عنه حاجزين وإنه لتذكرة للمتقين وإنا لنعلم أن منكم مكذبين وإنه لحسرة على الكافرين وإنه لحق اليقين فسبح باسم ربك العظيم صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you very much for that beautiful recitation. Today we're very, very fortunate to have Aziz Isa Elkun, who will be speaking to us about the genocide of Uyghur Muslims in East Turkestan in China. Many of us will have heard about the genocide and the real problems that are happening there to Uyghur Muslims, but maybe haven't spoken to someone who understands it intimately and closely. But we are fortunate to have Aziz, who he himself was born in East Turkestan in the Uyghur Autonomous Region in China. He spent his childhood in the Shahyar County, which is located close to the Tarim River in the area. And he graduated from Xinjiang University, majoring in Chinese and Russian and languages. He's been living in London since 2001. He studied at Birkbeck University in London, and he's published many poems, stories, research articles in both the Uyghur language and in English. And he's co-authored English language articles about Inner Asia and in the Central Asian Survey. He worked as a research assistant on Sounding Islam China, a project based in SOAS, University of London. And in 2017, he published a Uyghur language research article arising from this fieldwork entitled "The Uyghurs Are Known in Central Asia for Their Laghmen." He's an active member of the exiled Uyghur community and the founder of the Uyghur music group London Uyghur Ensemble. Since 2017, he served as secretary of the International Pen Uyghur Center. And from 2018, he's been working as a researcher on a British Academy Sustainable Development project called Uyghur Meshrep in Kazakhstan, based at SOAS, University of London. Someone with clear insight, expertise, and real value for all of us today. So we're really fortunate to have him here talk to us about the problems that are faced in China. So without further ado, Aziz, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Miqdad, inviting me for this talk and raise awareness about the terrible situation Uyghur people facing at the moment. Yes, let me start introducing who are the Uyghurs first. And Uyghurs are Turkic people, and Uyghurs, when you look at the map in Central Asia, and Uyghurs are in the heart of Central Asia, and in the history it called Turkestan. But we have a much longer history than the where Uyghurs are living at the moment. Many of you know about the Great Wall of China. That was the oldest and the primary border with the Uyghurs and China. It's because, as I said, Uyghurs are Turkic people. We have used to live alongside with other Turkic people, tribes in the history, like Huns, Turks, and later on we have, for example, Kyrgyz, and later on there's many more Turkic people appeared in the history, like Uzbek and Kazakhs. And now, why I said Turkestan, that was like a geographical or maybe a much more political name for the region. And because it's directly connected Uyghurs nowadays situation, as you can see on the map, that was about the 7th century. That was a Uyghur state, Uyghur Khanate, and basically Uyghurs are lived like Central Asia and Altai mountain, and nowadays the Mongolia we can call. That was just nowadays China used to be kind of town and a very small area in the East China. And so it's yes, there's as I said about the Uyghurs and why we call it today East Turkistan. It comes from the Turkestan, that wider region. And as you know, Russia's expansion of its territory or colonization started towards the East and Central Asia. That was Turkestan disappeared from the political map beginning of 18th century. So then when Soviet Union established, they divided all the Turkic tribes and created new kind of Soviet republics like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan. So basically the Western Turkestan was disappeared, and Eastern Turkestan, which Uyghurs able to establish twice, and shortly lived East Turkestan Republic. And the Uyghurs still, because East Turkestan means a lot for the Uyghurs. When you can see from this map was designed, produced by John Barslow, a Scottish traveler in 1876. On the map, you can see E. Turkestan, and on the west, W. Turkestan, West Turkestan and East Turkestan. So basically, what I want to say here, I don't want to talk much about the deep down on the history, but I want to give you a kind of general picture. This was the Uyghurs nowadays fate, not about today's genocide. But this is like Uyghurs became like in the last 100, maybe 200 years, just like a kicking ball between three large empires. The British Empire in the south, in the north, the Russians, and in the east, China. So you must be surprised if I say in Uyghurs announced actually in Kashgar in 1933, first time, Islamic Republic of East Turkestan, and it only lasted for 6 months. Uyghurs never stopped their desire, their inspiration to have national state. And yes, after the Second World War, and the politics turned quite ugly in Central Asia, and Russia supported communist China. So Mao Zedong gained the power, and direct Stalin and Soviet Union support for China. We were 1949 directly became like a colonized territory of China, and our country named Xinjiang, which is new territory, and you can see on the map that was East Turkestan, and many Uyghurs now also prefer to call Uyghurstan, which is alongside with Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. So now questions here: why today there's a genocide? Now we can guess. That's about territory. That's about the occupying the land and the natural resources. And East Turkestan has East Turkestan. Also, we prefer Uyghurstan. And this country has more than 1,800,000 square kilometer land. And nowadays, China's more than 40% of China's natural resources comes from this region: oil, petrol, gas, very rich in minerals. And since 1949. This is just we stop short here. This is in this photo you can see that was Uyghurs' second time Uyghurs established East Turkestan Republic in Ulja, and Uyghurs negotiated, Uyghurs leader Ahmadjan Qasim with Kuomintang, which is Chinese Nationalist Party. Now they were defeated by Mao Zedong, by the communists, to Taiwan. That was the before pre-communists. That was Kuomintang, Chinese Nationalist Party. They were negotiating on the table. This photo is very meaningful. Was taken in Nanjing in 1946. This was one of the facts. So now we are all aware. It's genocide is taking place now. We are talking about the genocide. Genocide is not only taking now. Genocide actually started as soon as Chinese communists occupied Uyghurs' homeland, Uyghurs' country. First, they sent Wang Zhen, one of the Chinese nationalist general, and there's some official and unofficial, some evidential documents as well, and up to hundreds of thousands. Some of this resource say close to million Uyghurs were killed, massacred. This massacre started until before end of Cultural Revolution. Actually, the hundreds of thousands of Uyghur intellectuals were imprisoned, or during the Cultural Revolution they were tortured to death, and or they sent through labor labor reform camps. And this is how they, when they sent their army in 1949, Barefoot Army. And on the right, there's also they sent from Shanghai. Now there's Shanghai. The female soldiers used to be a servant woman and sent to all criminals, all servant women to the to East Turkestan. So in short, there's statistics. In 1949, Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims population were like around 4 million. Uyghurs are occupied more than 90% of the overall population. Only there's around 250,000 Chinese population, or military, or soldiers, or families. Nowadays, they estimate that there are around 20 million population in East Turkistan, Chinese called Xinjiang. The official name Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Now there's Uyghurs population are still 12 million, but there's the rest of the population are Chinese. This is we hardly trust any Chinese statistics. Regardless of that, there's at least 15 or 20 million Chinese population. So this is not about we can say the term of genocide. This is a demographic genocide, environmental genocide, cultural genocide, physical genocide. And just like it's difficult to find the right word, but we kept with spirit of gaining our independence, our so the new technology, new communication technology like internet, social media developed very fast. So it became like a globalization, became like a no barrier for information. So it's very easy to get information. So now is Uyghur genocide became through social media, through journalists, became known to the outside world. But before 1990s, every 10 years there's happens one mass massacre, mass killing. And when you look at this map, you can see East Turkestan, Uyghurstan, Chinese called Xinjiang. This is the largest territory you can see. East Turkestan has more than 13 surrounding countries, and it has a border with these countries, and it's in as I said earlier, because it's all connected. 1991, so Soviet Union collapsed, and Uyghurs we became very inspired, and we really hope we'll be like a Kazakhstan or Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan. We will join our independence from China. So there's kind of Uyghurs are very well aware the own situation. We always treated as a second class. We never be treated kind of like as equal as mainstream Chinese or Han Chinese or Chinese citizen. Even we don't discriminate. The whole state policy is a kind of discrimination, inferior, because they cannot accept Uyghur culture. We all know we believe in Islam. We are Muslim. We are Turkic. Basically, we have nothing to share with 97% of Chinese population, which is more than 1 billion to at least 1,200,000,000 population. We have nothing to share, and there's a bit of misunderstanding in the West. Yes, this is genocide taking place, but this is not coming up today or yesterday. This is, you can imagine a country like imagine, for example, like in 1991, for example, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and the US and the Western or NATO ally, and they liberated Kuwait. Our situation is just like it is. For example, like our country fully occupied with support of Soviet Union in 1949. And now there's a lot of stereotyping in the media. Yes, Alhamdulillah, we are Muslim. This is our only faith, and and overwhelmingly, more than 97%, 99% probably, we all believe in Sunni Islam. But when it comes to politics, the media or some of the country also misusing and overwhelmingly stereotyping Uyghurs, Uyghur Muslim. We really want to be called like Iranian, like Turkish or Uzbek. We are as normal as many independent nation. Only we can't gain our independence back from China's occupation. So it's not much more than about Islamic faith. It's about politics, about land, about one country's fate. And China is overwhelmingly prototyping and disguising or the Uyghurs with the Islamic extremism or war on terror or with separatism. So China used all possible state method propaganda to describe Uyghurs. Uyghurs are minority of so-called Great People's Republic of China, but this is nothing to what China is claiming about. And the Uyghurs are not minority in their own country, and Uyghurs, just as I said, is occupied territory by communist China, and so China's Communist Party knows very well. So they couldn't persuade Uyghurs or couldn't win the Uyghurs' mind of hearts, because no Uyghurs want to live under the rule of Han Chinese. So they couldn't find any right method, and what they did, just building hundreds of thousands of concentration camps, largest from the Second World War, from the Holocaust. And you may hear it on the news. One of the internment camp, concentration camp, built near Urumqi, Dabanchin. You can see from the space how large it is. It can hold more than 10,000 people inside. So any Uyghur, this kind of this is not about only about Islam. It's about racial attack on Uyghurs, because China knows they since 1949 they ruled more than 71 years, but Uyghurs know very well. Uyghurs never give up their hope for self-ruling, their hope for independent state, and rather than China solving the existing problem, China believed the Western supplied high-tech technology, communication technology, and their economy, and this area of world politics when it comes to the human rights issue. So China found during the Trump administration found very kind of a perfect opportunity to conduct a slow motion genocide. So there's we estimate that now 3 to 5 million Uyghur population, and of course there's around half million Kazakh and other Turkic Muslim as well. We believe inside the concentration camps, and they don't want to. They started it in the beginning of 2017. And basically, they want to kind of change all their aim is change Uyghurs' identity and denounce the Islam, denounce they believe in Allah, and abandon their all cultural identity. Try to make these people just as look like as Han Chinese, and so there's many horrible story we heard. Many casualties as well, and they not only they're locking up in the concentration camps, but also they locked up professors, writers, artists. The scale of this atrocity is extremely large. And now, before I get down, I I gave interview to Channel 4 last year in October about the Uyghur genocide, and to Channel 4 presenter John. And I was in 20 years ago when I come to London, I did some search because these information is not possible for the Uyghurs to know when we are at home, because of about the great Chinese wall. They blocked everything, every kind of content about Uyghurs. So I was so happy when I saw John reported about Uyghur massacre in 1997, which took place in the northern city of Ulja. As I said again, this genocide is not taking place since 2017. It took place since China began to occupying East Turkistan. There's over the 70 years, there's several million of Uyghur population become a victim of the Chinese Communist Party and its regime. So I found that video in when I came to London 20 years ago, and I was so happy to see it, because I know it, but I never seen the how the protests look like, because I was living in the southern part in Aksu, which is about 1,000 kilometers away from my home to the protest place, the city called Ulja. And so last year I gave interview to in October to John. We talked about it and talked situation. So I want you to know, we can play this video clip and you can compare these two clips, how it changes. So it's like one clip's about it's 33 years ago. One clip's is 2 months ago.
This program has obtained exclusive evidence of what Beijing itself calls a pitiless crackdown on a nascent independence movement in the province of Xinjiang. The home of the Muslim Uyghur people, the area was briefly known after the war as the Republic of East Turkistan. But in 1949, Chairman Mao absorbed it into the province of Xinjiang. In recent years, the Uyghurs have been the victims of discrimination, and any protest has been swiftly crushed. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Gabi Rado, has a special report on the situation there. Viewers are warned that some of the images and scenes in his report are disturbing.
In Chinese, Xinjiang means new frontier. But for many, this is Eastern Turkestan, one of the ancient lands of the Silk Road. Though Beijing has long claimed its many ethnic groups live together in harmony, the largest of the Muslim people in the province, the Uyghurs, are now asserting their identity and challenging the Chinese government. Much of this film was shot secretly, because in Xinjiang, just talking to foreign journalists has been punished with arrest and long imprisonment. Even exiles are reluctant to reveal their identities for fear of reprisals against their families.
Qashqadardır vaziyet günü-gün iğilişiyodu. Osi Qashqaning o'zida qiz o'g'il yoshlarning turmush yetishi avval naytaga. Odatda bular erkin fikr berish o'yinda emas, 4 odam bir joyda o'tirib parolish qabul qilinmaydi. Bunlarga yurak yo'q. Bunlarga yurak yo'q.
In February this year, many hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets of Gulja in the northwest of Xinjiang. Word had spread among them that 30 Uyghurs accused of agitation against the government had been executed. Thousands of troops were rushed in to crush the demonstration, which took place over 2 days. Exiles claim soldiers shot dead unarmed protesters. The official death toll was 9. Dissident sources put it at over 100. These Chinese TV pictures smuggled out of the country are the first visual evidence of what may have been a massacre. It was barely reported at the time. In the case of the demonstration in Gulja of February this year, exiles claim that 1,600 arrests followed. Photographs circulating among Uyghur exiles are said to show the effects of frostbite after the detainees were sprayed with cold water. They were allegedly held in a building for 6 days in freezing conditions. As a result, 50 youths are said to have died. The Chinese authorities deal harshly with political dissenters. Those convicted are often paraded in front of large crowds, and many then face the firing squad. An unknown number of Uyghurs have been executed this year alone. 9 of them, not the group here, are known to have been shot on July the 22nd. A Uyghur now in exile saw the condemned men taken on their last journey on a line of trucks.
Endi bu adamlarninki hammasininki beshi yerga töven tushib ketgan, ammo mashinada bog'liqlik. Mening anglashimcha bu adamlarninki nurg'uni o'sha yerim jon o'lik holga kelib qolgan adam. Chunki turmada nihoyatda cho'ng qiynaq azoblarni ko'rgan odam deydigan gaplar bor.
Footage smuggled out portrays those killed in public executions as martyrs.
So this has happened 33 years ago in 1997. Now there's my interview to Channel 4 on 1st of October 2020.
So earlier I spoke to Aziz Isa Elkun, a London-based Uyghur academic and activist, and I started by asking for his reaction to the Chinese ambassador who said there was no Uyghur repression in China.
That's not true. This is the nature of Chinese embassy or ambassador keep lying about everything, even though there's a whole world approved, there's a genocide taking place right now.
It's very, very difficult for us to get information out of the Uyghur region. Can you tell us what you know the Uyghurs are going through? I mean, I know your mother is still there, and tell us about her.
Yes, it's a very tragic story. And whenever I think my people, the Uyghurs, and especially about my mother, and I could not bear it. My mother now 78 years old, widowed. My father died in 2017. I found my father's tomb on Google Earth, and it was destroyed by the Chinese regime. And that was the reality of my family situation now.
Is it true that the Chinese authorities managed to get your mother to denounce you?
Yes, after I gave interview to CNN last year, and yes, my mother brought in front of the TV, which is from Beijing to my home, probably about 4,000 kilometers away.
If you had the chance to speak directly to the Foreign Secretary, for example, what do you want the British to do about the Uyghur crisis?
I would like to ask British government has a responsibility, because British government is a member state of the United Nations Security Council. This is a human tragedy. We can call this a genocide taking place now. So British government must do save the innocent life. This is not something comes up today or yesterday. So Uyghur problem must be solved. Uyghur problem is about the world problem. We are part of the world community. There's no such a thing, Chinese internal affair. Uyghurs are part of human being, part of this world. The world must take responsibility to save Uyghurs' life. Thank you for watching these clips.
So earlier.
Yes, now we talk about the 1997 and now 2020, and many of you are aware in Urumqi massacre, probably this mistake, 2009. There's another massacre happened in Urumqi. That's also about the innocent Uyghur factory workers killed in inner China, and Uyghur youth demanded the government should respond and give accountability, and there was a protest happened, but as soon as Uyghur students hold the protests in the public square in front of the government in Urumqi, it tend to the brutally oppressed by Chinese police army, and it lasted like several weeks. We don't know until even now, and how many Uyghurs were killed, arrested, and in that night. And since 2009, this nothing stopped. Nothing. I mean, didn't even the Chinese government think about their policy. They didn't do anything to do about this existing problems. And in 2000, so in this image, you can see what I'm talking about. This first image, soldiers, 1997. Second image was from the protest in 2009 Urumqi protest, and 2017. And they started building a concentration camp and arresting, locking up millions of Uyghurs. Why they do is since 2009 Urumqi massacre, it's our prison already full, and there's no place they put the people who they arrested, and they started building the mass scale of camps. It's all except this is just like concentration camps, and so they built now there's estimation built more than 3,000 now camps now discovered on the Google Earth, on the map, very detailed, and many experts revealed the details and scale of the camp. And usually the camp situations are awful and very crowded, and there's no kind of personal space, anything. Usually 30-40 people sleeps together. There's many testimony given to the media, given to the US Congress, many in the European Union, UK Parliament. So there's a lot of evidence now. And not all about the adults, grown-ups. There's also we are estimated at least more than 1 million Uyghur children are separated from from their parents and keep them in the so-called boarding school. But what they do, all the program, all their aim is try to like change Uyghurs' ethnic national identity. As I said again, Uyghurs, we don't have to share anything with China, with Han Chinese. They are very upset about it because no one brought them, no one welcomed them to come rule us, occupy our land, and now they are not satisfied for that. They need that land, but they don't need Uyghurs because they don't want Uyghurs to be claimed back their territory. That's a to big strong. And in this photo, you can see that was happened in this photo was happened about 3 or 4 years ago. So if girl, woman wear any kind of longer dress, that was sign of separatism or extremism. So Uyghur man cannot grow any beard or mustache. Girl cannot wear any longer dress. That will be kind of sign of Islam. They just like again, I cannot find any right word to describe. Does not exist any part of the world, in any nation, but China. They do it. They found this. They do it. It's inhuman. It's very, very inhuman. We can see now. This is a clip shows about how mosque destroyed. There's thousands of mosques. Up to 70% of Uyghur mosques, the mosque in East Turkistan, were destroyed now. No religious place. Now we can play this clip.
Fortunately, all around here is what's happening in Xinjiang is the government of China is coming in and developing this whole area. So it's sad to see all their houses in rubble. But I can understand why the Uyghur people are upset because they're totally changing their tradition. I mean, this just looks like a war zone to me. Yeah, and it appears that they're saving all their doors, you know. They'll probably end up in some, you know, import stores in America and selling for a lot of money. I've seen that happen. And these guys are just like, what the fuck is going on with this? That is a trip. Really disturbing.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, you can see from this clip. This is taken some parts of Kashgar. How we can see how the mosque being destroyed. So this is the scales very large, and there's like Mihril Tursun and many the former camp survivors. They gave testimony. It's widely available on the media. So this is scales very large. It's like a kind of slow motion genocide in every aspect of Uyghurs' life, systematic genocide. And this, as I said, there's the East Turkistan territory is 1,800,000 square kilometer land. It's very large territory. If you compare, we can compare like it's bigger than whole Western Europe, or 7 or 8 times bigger than the United Kingdom. It's very large territory. So I mean the populations, yes, population is very large. It's much higher than what China is reporting about Uyghurs population. So scale is very large, and China tried to. There's some sanctions now came up from the Washington, and there's a lot of talk in the European Union or UK, but not much real action coming from Western governments to stop China's genocide, because we all know China has a large economy, and producer became like one of the cheap producers of the world. So lots of kind of economic and the interest related to the many Western countries. And on the other hand, on the ground, so the scales were large. We are talking about 3 to 5 million Uyghur population in the concentration camps. So China tried to not the outside world know the atrocities. So far, Chinese government not allowed any UN special investigator go and report and investigate. Rather, they try to hide their hideous crimes against humanity, which the last days of the Trump administration, Secretary of Pompeo announced the last day, formally announced China's committing a genocide against Uyghurs. It's crime against humanity. So on the ground, China is kind of try to hide the crimes. They not anyone leave from the country. They not give allowing anyone to leave the country. Not giving passport, anything. Even I myself now more than 3 years. I don't know hundreds of my relatives, my mother, There's no communication. Everything became incommunicado now. We don't know our loved ones' situation, and a very, very desperate situation now. So what Chinese aim now? They try to hide their crimes. They want to kind of the lockdown that whole region, and they want to kind of so-called kind of building kind of cheap light factory like textiles or shoemaking factory or food process, and just build next to the camp, and just like okay, they are living happily now. They just like a claim, and they not anyone leave from the camp, from the factory. They're just like hostaging again about the 35 million Uyghur population, just using them as such. They are trying to reach 2-3 different aims. First, they want to try to hide their atrocity, not allowing any Uyghurs leave from the region or talk to the any free media. Second, they keep them as a forced labor, slave labor, and keep them there as long as they can, that they will be forget all the atrocity they were experienced. Third, of course, slave labor and the cheap labor. There's many thousands of Western famous companies. The product is all produced in China with the Western technology, Western money, Western investment, and they are using the Uyghurs as a slave labor, and many of them were transferred directly from the camp to the inner China factory inside inner China. And so there's even the UK government, even the US government now put a sanction, stop importing any kind of cotton products. Some of the clothes, some of the for example, there's we can see, regardless of that, there's statistics. Actually, Europe and US imported even more products than any other year in 2020. So this is like we in the European politics, in the world politics, we say never again for the horrible history of Europe about the Holocaust. But this is in our own eye. Now Uyghurs became the victim of the never again, and this tragedy must be solved. And Uyghurs' faith, Islam, Uyghurs' identity, Uyghurs' tradition, Uyghurs' language, everything now being destroyed, became like a part of the Chinese genocide policy. Became so it's need to be stopped. World must stop China. World must hold accountable for China, and for the this is a humanitarian tragedy. This is a tragedy. This is for the human beings of the century. So, and I want to say here, unfortunately, there's many Muslim countries like or Muslim majority countries like Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. They are very good friend of China. They are benefiting from China. They are not never even talking about the Uyghur genocide. Actually, they are supporting China on this issue. So we are very, very bitter about this world. So this is, we cannot say this is only the Muslim problem. That's why I'm saying this is if you are human, that's your problem. You must stop this atrocity. You can do everything you can. You can write to your MPs. You can talk to your community. You can talk to the politician. And this gets very large, and we have to stop it. I have to stop here now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your talk and for all the questions, all the key points that you've raised, and your passion about this topic, given your own history there, and your family still there. So thank you very much for speaking out, even though it's quite tough to speak out. Now we have some time for questions. So there have been already some questions that have been that I have in front of me, and then there'll be others which come through as well. So starting with the first one, do you see much solidarity from other groups in China itself with the Uyghur population?
That's an interesting question. Before I directly answer to your question, I just remind the whole world, except Muslim world or Western world, please never treat the Chinese government, Chinese Communist Party members, Chinese government as equal as any other nation. They have totally different mentality, totally different regard. So China's ruled one of the most oppressive regime. When you look outside, you think everything made in China. Oh, Chinese people have money. But when you go inside, you can see it. Everything, what you wear, what you eat, where do you go, all controlled, digitally controlled, physically controlled by communist regime. So there's a, when you think about China's there's a 5 majority non-Chinese people in China. China Han itself a majority, which is over 1 billion. And then there's Tibet, we know, and there's Mongol, and the Korean as well, and Uyghur, right? And many of them, yes, they have distinctive cultural heritage and language, everything. But Uyghurs are one of the most significant. So they produce many technology like surveillance technology, facial recognition. They direct every technology recognize who are the Uyghur. Even if we walk on the street, they automatically the police know they are Uyghur. They get a racial profile to everything. So I mean, the Tibetan people are also very, very oppressed, and so there's no sympathy, anything from the inner China. Actually, the majority of population, as I said, there's over 1 billion population are their hand. They're supporting the regime because the regime feel enriched itself with Chinese nationalism. That's the problem there.
Perfect, thank you. A related question: is there much activism in China, maybe in Xinjiang itself, but maybe in other places, against this, or are all the people who dissent are in exile and abroad?
It's difficult to say exactly, but there's many many Uyghur intellectuals 4 or 5 years ago or 20 years ago, like myself, or even 30 years ago, we left. We know it. There's no peaceful resolution unless the Beijing shouldn't regard Uyghurs or East Turkistan as a colonized territory. We have rights to claim. You cannot oppress us like this. This is the clashing point. So many people left, but there's still, I mean, many young Uyghurs, also well-educated Uyghurs, they found job in inner China, like in big cities like Beijing, Shanghai. So they still live there. And Uyghurs, as I said, it was as normal as any other nation in the world. Only we have no country, it's a large population. But we cannot say at the moment exactly, because very, very tight security surveillance. And we can see some of the video clips, some of the kind of short messages we can still receive through various social media, like a Chinese social media app like it is. But very, very strictly control the information, the communication, everything.
Thank you. You mentioned that the Uyghur population is very different to the rest of China. It's separate in its language, it's separate in its culture, and it's really a separate nation in all its forms, really.
Right.
With that in mind, how has there been much engagement or interaction between the Uyghurs and the rest of China? Do a lot of the Uyghur population go to the rest of China regularly? Like you mentioned, some who go to university, do some go to work? Like, what is that interaction like?
So interaction is this is a very good question. Interaction is very, very less, because any Uyghur in East Turkestan, we don't regard ourselves we are part of China. Never. It only happened in the 2017. That's why this they started about the concentration camp. They couldn't persuade, couldn't win Uyghurs' heart of minds to be kind of patriotism, love China. Go away. We don't have nothing to share with you. All the atrocity you committed, can you forget it in the last 70 years? You occupied our territory and killed us, take away everything. And we have to love you, we have to live with you in peace? No way. We have to first admit you are colonizer, you are oppressor. We have nothing to share, nothing, we have to accept your rule. That was like exactly how do you believe about Tibet, exactly you have to believe about East Turkestan, about Uyghurs. So it's like there's like no interaction. And another one point I want to say, geographically, this from Beijing to East Turkestan, this at least 4,000-5,000 kilometers, and between them this natural border, the desert. So like no Uyghurs where I myself, before I leave East Turkestan, I never been to Beijing. I never been to any in China. I never. I myself, if anyone said, "Are you Chinese or are you from China?" I upset so much. I have nothing to do with you. Forget about your politics. You cannot change one nation over you ruling for 70 years. Look, Scotland ruled by 500 years. They want to get independence. Look at the whole world history. We are one of the civilized people in among the Turkic nation. We have so much we created in history, for civil society, culture, everything. So, that's what China fear about. That's why they built the Great Wall of China, and now they want to pursue the genocide against the Uyghurs.
Thank you. So again, two follow-up questions or related questions. One is, how much of the Uyghur population actually speak Chinese or Mandarin, like, or a different language, or is it all speak the Uyghur language itself, or do a lot of them, or none of them, or a small population? And the second question related to that is, those Uyghurs who actually live in Beijing or in other cities in China, can they live and practice their faith freely, or do they also risk being put in the camps and stuff, or have they, because they've already got into China and they've already got, so it's not the same? Yeah.
Okay, I go for the first question. Uyghurs are a Turkic people. We are Sunni Muslim. We are very devoted Muslim, and we have almost there's statistics. We are one of the nation in the world. We have less Christianity or less any other religion. We are very devoted Muslim. And we have many Islam scholars as well, like in Islamic civilization, Islamic culture. Bukhara used to be one of the center, and Kashgar used to be one of the another center. So we have also culturally, we are very close to Central Asia, Turkey, and Iran, and India, Pakistan as well. So after we converted Islam in the 10th century, we adopted the Arabic-based script, the alphabet. So we write in Arabic, modified Arabic Uyghur script. And so it's like, I just show you very quickly. For example, can you see this one? Okay. Can you see this one?
Yes.
Can you see? Şarkı Türkistan, yani Türkistan el-Şarkıye. Azatlık yolu da izniş. The exploration, the possible way towards the independence. Okay, that's a kind of thing. And when you look at this, can you see? This is a Uyghur script.
Arabic, okay.
Arabic, yeah. This is Uyghur script. So that's the problem. Now you understand. This is not something China described Uyghurs are minority, something part of nothing to this. Is all lie or pure lie. Okay, this is whole so this is a kind of so they are very frustrated about, because only they wholesale attacked on Uyghurs when they have a stronger technologically, financially, military, when they feel themselves stronger, they now wholesale attack on Uyghurs. They couldn't do it in the last 70 years, right? So I mean, I myself, I graduated from university, so I was able to, when I graduated university, I was able to write about 3 or 4,000 Chinese words and able to produce a simple article in Chinese. That was my level. Okay, so in statistics, there's at least in 20 years ago, more than 95% Uyghur population, they don't speak Chinese. They speak in mother language or the Uyghur language, Turkic. And now, since since year 2000, they closed down all Uyghur language schools. For example, I myself educated from year 1 to year 11 in Uyghur school. Even at the university, some of the subject was in Uyghur language, right? Now they're not allowed any Uyghur language education. So that was one of the nightmare, one of the desperate situation now. We lost one generation already, 20 years now. So like any Uyghurs whose age under 20 or 25 years, they all speak Chinese now. But they will also grow bilingual. They're also very fluent in Uyghur. And so like now we don't know exactly, but probably 50% of the Uyghur population of I don't know how fast they pursue this genocide. We don't know yet, but we will stop it. And second question, Uyghurs in Beijing or Shanghai, inner China, their number are very, very, very few, very, very small number. So we cannot do any kind of statistical, but they are, yes, they are free because there's another Muslim. Please don't mix with the Uyghur Muslim and the Hui, Chinese Muslim. Chinese Muslim is called Hui. They speak Chinese. They are just like Chinese people, but they have Islamic faith. As they culturally, they are the part of Chinese. So there's lots of mosques in like Ningxia, Tianjin, many cities. So Uyghurs go there and alongside they do pray. But Uyghurs are again racially profiled in inner China. Uyghurs cannot stay in the hotel or go to any public place. The Uyghurs are in that will be buried or arrested because there's a whole China, this kind of policy. Uyghurs are just like an alien for them. Or they are terrorists, they are the extreme, this kind of the direct, the deliberate state policy applied all throughout China now.
Okay, thank you very much. Quite a few questions have come in.
Okay.
If we can try and keep the answers a bit shorter. I know you are, but
don't worry. I'm happy to answer. It's very interesting to people engage and ask questions. I'm happy to answer.
Okay, great. So one is there's a flag behind you.
Right.
Can you tell us about the flag and its history? Just the blue flag with the yellow.
Yeah, that's good. This flag is. I'm glad I deliberately put it today. Actually, so we have to see wherever I just tag the flag. This is East Turkistan flag, and I mentioned earlier, and Uyghurs are Muslim. This flag used to be kind of, even when you the Uzbekistan state sign, right in the middle this flag, and even the Turkmenistan. In Turkmenistan, the Iraq Turkmen, they have also this flag, blue. This flag is like Turkey has nowadays red. This flag, the kind of symbol of Islam, of course, in the middle. But blue is blue sky. We used to be kind of believe in sky god like Tengri. So comes like combined with the Uyghurs' national ethnic identity and Islam. So in 1933, and in Kashgar, we first established the Islamic Republic of East Turkistan, and we designated, our ancestors designed this flag. It's flag of East Turkistan. And in that was in the 12th November in 1933, and the 12th November in 1944, second time we established Second Republic, Republic of East Turkistan this time. But all was betrayed by Stalin, by Russians. We were first part of China, and the rest we were colonized by communist China.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Related to that is How's the how are the relations between the Uyghurs and other oppressed minorities in China, like those from Tibet or Taiwan or other areas?
This is good question, but this is quite difficult to precisely to say. Collaborations are happening in abroad, in outside China. For example, I have many good connection with mostly about Tibetan people, some of the Mongol people, some of the Taiwan as well. But it's like very large territory. This is China's very quite big in by territory. And for example, from East Turkistan to Tibet, at least you have to travel very harsh climate, and they're never kind of connected to each other because about the faith. We always believe in Islam, Tibet's Buddhist, and Taiwan's farther. It's just kind of, I mean, it was some connection with the Hui Muslims, but not much. But the rest, we would be geographical, this very isolated region. So we are much more close to Islamabad or Istanbul rather than anything with Beijing. This is again, I want to assert this is a kind of wholesale of occupation and colonization happened in the last 70 years. So not much communication contact, but we have much more strong communication contact supported by all our ethnic people like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, even Pakistan, even Turkey. We are much more towards the Turkic and Islamic world rather than the East towards the China.
Last two questions, one which will be here, and then one someone wants to join and ask a question in a second.
Okay,
The first question, has the Belt and Road route got something to do with increasing atrocities or not?
It's increased atrocity because it's in a simple way to describe. Its aim was actually kind of China has over the last 10-20 years cheap production. They made lots of cheap they got lots of foreign reserve, kind of cash flows in their hands, and was and it gives China three aim to the Road and Belt Initiative. Actually, first the aim is totally re-engineer the Uyghurs, total assimilation, total oppress in East Turkestan, and make the hub East Turkestan kind of passage towards the Road and Belt. This was initial aims, and much more the target was about Islamic world. Like first they target Pakistan. Almost they bought many cities of Pakistan, and their aim was towards Islamic world. Any sport comes from the Islamic world or Turkic world. They that China's Road and Belt targeted them. They bought Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Iran, now Turkey. So that's why these countries muted Road and Belt. Billions of dollars they're spending. Giving these countries, and that was second aim. Third aim, of course, China want to assert they are the kind of their own influence, mostly towards Europe and the US. That was now will accept or will counter. That was depend on the Washington's policy. That's what trade war started. That so the rest China already won in Asia, and only now the West also have very few allies left, like only India and Japan. And how long? I mean, it depends on the big world politics, especially about the unity US and Europe. But regardless of US government's call and human rights organizations call, now Euro signed already special investment deal with China already before a few weeks ago. It's I don't know how will the world allow China, such an awful country, committing a genocide and allowing and doing a business as normal. I just couldn't believe it. where their principles are lying at the moment.
Thank you. And final question from Zaid, if you can come on.
Hi.
Thank you very much to you both. China at the moment seems very powerful. It's in a dispute with the UK over Hong Kong. It's in a trade dispute with the US. It's in a dispute with Taiwan, with Tibet. And of course, this is another dispute. I mean, what realistically can the UK government do to put pressure on China?
It's yes, when you see outside about the economy, many people think about China strong. But when you look inside, when you read their psychology, their inner world, they are very, very weak. That's very weak nation. That's very weak nation. That's why they set up all the Chinese internal security is 2-3 times higher than the external security expenditure or military. So UK as one of the old world power, also the one of the Five Eyes country, and also UK is United Nations Security Council member state. So lots of card UK government can play. So UK must be very bold when it comes to the deal with China, because China, among returning to Hong Kong, China break the agreement, the returning Hong Kong to the UK, and so it's many aspects, and I'm quite disappointed somehow UK government not strong enough to counter China's misengagement with Hong Kong. So UK government must be very bold, should be spoken up, should be protect their interest. If UK government want to, Europe want to, US want to, then you will give away to China everything. You will turn this world to kind of autocratic, oppressive place. So I mean, every country, especially UK, must take their responsibility.
Thanks
very much.
Aziz, and I think we will have to end there because the time has gone and we have covered a lot of stuff. And so thank you so much for your talk, and in particular for the Q&A, because that's always the most engaging, where you get lots of audience members asking lots of questions, and hopefully you enjoy the Q&A as well with all these different topics. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Muqdad, having me today's talk. I'm very pleased to talk to you and share my opinion. Thank you so much for organizing this event.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements before we finish. On Tuesday, we have Dr. Amina Inlo speaking about Fatima, the role model for us all. Next Friday, we have Annika von Wudenberg. She's from RAID UK, which is a human rights group, which will be talking about diamonds and corporations across Africa and across and in particular looking at what's happening in diamond mines in Tanzania. The week after, we have Nasra Jamal, who's a life coach, who'll be speaking to us about Life Reset, 8 strategies to create abundance. So hopefully the next few weeks will be interesting and for us all. So thank you very much for joining today, and look forward to seeing you at our next sessions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.